Traveling west from Tarsus, Paul and Silas would have been confronted with the Taurus Mountains, which separated the coastal plains around Tarsus from the interior regions of Cilicia, Galatia, and Asia Minor. They would have had to travel through a treacherous pass known as the Cilician Gates. The Cilician Gates are a series of narrow gorges cut through the Taurus Mountains. The peaks of these mountains can exceed 12,000 feet and have been a harrowing challenge for travel, trade, and military excursions for centuries. The Hittites, the Mongols, the Greeks, the Romans, the Crusaders, all these great armies had to make their way through these tight passes that separated east from west. Today, the Gülek Pass has been conquered by a modern highway. This modern highway here in Turkey that runs from Tarsus to Ankara. Now, Paul and Silas would have taken a narrow, treacherous path through this great mountain barrier, but since this is only a half-hour show and I may or may not be more spoiled than they were, I want to take the 70 miles to Derbe and Lystra on 6 lanes of divided highway. As we've learned in prior episodes, the Romans built a vast network of stone highways around its empire. They were durable, flood-resistant, often guarded, and wide enough for soldiers to march 6 abreast. It's been said that if all the roads from Rome were linked end to end, they would circle the earth twice. These are the roads that Paul and his companions often traveled, and the roads that provided relative security. However, just off the Roman highway system was another world altogether. More often than not, Paul and his team would have to travel these secondary roads where safety or even survival was uncertain. Flash floods, wild animals, marauding bandits were all known perils of traveling these ancient roads. And as for me, I'm just happy to work the word marauding into this show. Back in the 1st century, in the eastern Mediterranean, these back roads were only passable during the summer months, when the streams were dry and low. During the late winter or early spring, travelers had to navigate raging rivers and sometimes makeshift bridges, so drowning was a real hazard. Worse than rivers, though, were the robbers and thieves, since people tended to travel with pretty much everything they own, including silver coins. Travelers made prime targets. Perhaps the scariest peril of all was the wild animals. I mean, at least a robber might leave you alive, right? Apuleius, a philosopher and poet living a few decades after Paul, wrote about the wild boars, bears, and wolves that roamed present-day Turkey and Greece, and how travelers often journeyed in fear, especially through forest areas. Apuleius wrote this: "We were told that the road we wished to take was strewn with half-eaten corpses and clean-picked skeletons, and that we ought to proceed with all possible caution and in a compact body with no stragglers. The higher the sun, the milder the wolves." In one of his letters, Paul wrote this: "On frequent journeys, in danger from rivers, danger from robbers, danger from my own people, danger from Gentiles, danger in the city, danger in the wilderness, danger at sea, danger from false brothers, in toil and hardship, through many a sleepless night, in hunger and thirst, often without food, in cold and exposure." 2 Corinthians 11, 26 and 27.